Hi, this is Pritha from Impact, and today with us we have Ashwin Moorthy, the Chief Marketing Officer of GCPL. So, Ashwin, recently FMCG companies have been increasing their A&P spends. So, what is the percentage of A&P to your revenue if you could give us a ballpark number?
It ranges between 10 to about 11.5%.
Yeah. So, do you think increasing advertisements will help revive volume growth that FMCG companies have been lacking for quite a while?
Yeah, I mean, if you break up volume growth into three components, the first is category growth or consumption growth, the second is market development, and the third is brand led growth. What marketing spends cannot do is marketing spends cannot fundamentally alter consumption patterns on well penetrated categories. But what we can certainly do is we can invest in market development and grow categories bigger than they are today. And one of the advantages of GCPL's portfolio in India is that we have many categories which are under-penetrated in the country. So if you take household insecticides, for example, Goodnight is a brand that goes to 1/3 of Indian households. Now, with the innovation of Renofluthrin and the launch of this new molecule, we will invest to make sure that we're able to reach more and more consumers with this message that look, now they can get safe and more efficacious solutions, and that will increase marketing spends, but will also increase the available pie for the category. So that's a second sort of way in which you can sort of grow the category despite what's going on with macros and consumption, not really under your control. And the third is to sort of strengthen our brand. So in large categories which are deeply penetrated, how can we make our brands more salient, more available, more accessible, and hence you can grow there as well. So that's where you see marketing spends will go up to drive the second and third buckets of growth.
Yes. So you spoke about household insecticides, and as I know that during the extreme heat waves, the consumption of this category was a bit low. So do you think this new campaign will help revive the sales of this whole category as household insecticides?
No, I think we are quite hopeful that it will because household insecticide category has actually been a fast-growing category. The difference is that it's not been growing very fast for registered players like us, largely because the molecule transfluthrin was a 15 to 20-year-old molecule. So because of that, mosquitoes develop resistance over time, and you need to have a new molecule every 7 or 8 years or so that is able to increase efficacy of these products. And because of this, what had happened is consumers were not particularly pleased with the efficacy of what Goodnight had to offer or what any resistant insecticide had to offer. And what had happened in the last 6 or 7 years is a lot of Chinese molecules have entered the company illegally. These are not registered, these are not proven safe, but many manufacturers who are local manufacturers illegally were able to access these molecules, dip incense sticks in them and sell it to consumers. So they are efficacious, but they are not safe. So over the last 10 years with Renofluthrin, we've developed this molecule. It's an Indian innovation, this molecule, patented in India. And bringing this now across Goodnight's range of products, we are hoping that consumers will be able to perceive far more efficacy. It's twice the efficacy of the current transfluthrin molecule, but it is as safe. It has been tested in over 100 tests, independent lab studies, and it is approved by the government.
Yeah. So, GCPL has increased their ad spends around 32% in the March quarter. So, do you see that continuing this quarter and the year as well?
The ad spends, the jobs behind where we will spend the money continues. So in that sense, our commitment to develop categories, our commitment to help build stronger brands, bring creativity into our advertising and marketing, all of that will continue to be very much there in our plans.
Yeah. So in its quarterly update, GCPL has mentioned that their Park Avenue and Kama Sutra brands have been doing very well. So are there any new interesting campaigns that are coming up for these brands?
Yes, in fact, both Park Avenue and KSDO, the Kama Sutra DO, have had new campaigns on air. We just launched them in this month. In fact, in Park Avenue, we are taking a very different view of the brand, which is to elevate it in terms of sophistication and premiumness. So we shot this ad very recently in New York, which shows the rise of a young Indian CEO who makes it big in in the global world. So that's sort of the ad of Park Avenue, and KSDOs is more in the space of sort of seduction, which is also very sort of the core to the brand. So both these have new campaigns that are on air this month.
And also, I think GCPL have been increasing ad spends in the Raymond portfolio. So, do you still see that there is potential in the deodorant, category in India?
Yes, I mean, one of the reasons and the key reason why we acquired the business is that deodorants in terms of penetration and consumption is way behind where we think it should be. Its penetration in India is only 12 to 14% in urban India. So it shows the potential the category has in a country that is fundamentally a hot tropical country where people need to protect themselves from body odor, etc. So we find that there's a long headroom for deodorants in India. And we're quite bullish about the fact this category will grow.
Yeah. So, how has the reception been on the launch of the anti-mosquito agarbatti, and are there any new campaigns like to introduce it to the masses in India?
Yes, so we've already advertised it. So because we are the only government registered agarbatti, we're the only ones who can also advertise it. So we are in that sense 100% share of voice in the category. We're very happy with the product feedback so far. Consumers have found our because it is renofluthrin in the molecule in the agarbatti as well. So consumers have found it a lot more efficacious than what they've been using currently, even compared to some of the illegal players. Consumers have found that the smoke is much lesser, so it's more sort of pleasing to use, and they like the fragrance. So we're very pleased with consumers realizing that Goodnight has now a registered safe agarbatti for them, and the product itself something that they find quite good. So we're quite pleased with the progress so far.
That's interesting. And GCPL has launched its own in-house ad agency, Lightbox. So how has the experience been with an in-house ad agency?
I think it's been fantastic. Lightbox, to give you a sense, today makes 100% of all advertising in India for GCPL. It makes pretty much all of our advertising even globally. So Lightbox has made ads from shampoo haircut in Latin America to hair fashion in South Africa to hit in Indonesia, along with Indian advertising. And we're finding with Lightbox that the ability to bring creativity closer to the brand problem and not have anything else in between. There's no worry that the Lightbox copywriter has about the business staying with them or not being with them, or trying to be safe or trying to please the client. We take the quality of briefs very seriously. We take insights very seriously, and we take creativity very seriously, if that makes sense, which is we really push Lightbox and the team to bring the creative best to the workplace and to the work that they do. And I think the teams found that quite freeing as well. So we're very pleased with the way this is going so far.
So do you think it is better to work with an in-house agency than outsourcing?
I think it depends on many factors. And the key factor is, as a client, you also have to create the culture of creativity being acceptable. And you have to then, I think with Lightbox, what works is we also make them realize how important creativity is to our business. So they're not a support function in that sense. They are a function that's as close to the marketing as I am. And I think that's helped. So I think it's less about the structure, whether it's in-sourced or outsourced. I think it's more from our perspective, how close you want creativity to be within your business, and you create a culture where the creative team feels like they belong and they feels like they can contribute, and they're not intimidated by brand marketers who want things done a certain way, but they feel as part of the process the brand marketer does.
Yeah, interesting. Also, can you give an overview of your marketing mix, and is digital your preferred way of marketing, or are you spread across categories?
So we don't take a position on medium. So we don't have a target of a percentage digital or a percentage print or any medium. We follow a philosophy of reach-based planning, where all of our campaigns have to be sufficiently funded. They bear the burden on trying to reach as many consumers as they can, relevant consumers as they can, with the budgets that they have. And it ends up being that a bulk of our advertising is TV, because TV is still, for many of our brands, which are large brands, the cheapest and most scalable way of reaching consumers with advertising. However, we're seeing that there is an increase in digital spend as a contribution of a total spend, largely coming from two parts of the population. The first part is affluent Indian consumers with smart TV, with Wi-Fi, with high-speed data, who have substituted some TV viewership for viewership of YouTube and OTT platforms on connected TV. So we're seeing spends going up there. We're also seeing spends going up in the bottom end of the Indian market, where consumers may not be having as many channels on cable or not having cable at all, but have access to data and high speed data and smartphones, who are using the smartphone to access video content. So on these ends of the pyramid, we are seeing spends go up. We're also doing things like wall paintings to reach non-addressable rural India, and we also have a very large door-to-door program which is helping in driving penetration for many of our categories by sending promoters to people's homes and selling them samples of products.
So do you think, like, are there any new, market campaigns for the festive season in India? Are there any upcoming new campaigns for festive season in India?
The festive season is important to us, so there will be some campaigns that will come up.
And are you like spending more or are you spending less on this festive season? And how has the consumer reception been? Like, do you think it will be a high consumption during the festive season? Because the past festive season have been a disappointment for the FMCG companies.
Well, we invest in line with where consumers are. So some of our categories which are seasonal, for example, insecticide is a seasonal category. Spends do go up in season. Similarly, air care, which is a category which is used a lot when guests come over, because when guests come out to your home, you want them to have a good experience of your home. So you find that during festive season, those categories do well. So their spends indeed will be in line with how we feel the consumer will behave in that period.
Yeah, and do you think it would be a good festive season this year?
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for speaking us with Ashwin. Thank you so much. Thank you.